PAX West 2019 had a much greater VR presence on the main floor than previous years, which is such awesome news overall for all fans of virtual reality at this stage. And though still relegated to a dark corner, Sony brought some pretty exciting demos to the PSVR play area. The most popular seeming to be the not technically iron-suited hero going through a short training montage just outside the iconic Tony Stark manor. I'm just guessing, but it seems that this is only Move controller compatible, as the movement and combat seem to be directly linked, but if that changes I'll update with a future video, maybe if I'm not too lazy. It seems the main way to move about is flying, and to fly and or hover, you hold the Move controllers to your sides at a sort of upwards angle and hold down the trigger buttons. If you want to move forwards, you tilt them down, or any direction that you want to move, you tilt opposite. You're basically aiming your palms away from the direction you want to go. If you double click the triggers, you do a short boost in whatever direction you're going. To shoot, you'll be aiming with your palms. A reticle will show where you are aiming, so you hold your hand up or wherever and you push the move button. You can hold down the move button to charge the shot, making that signature Iron Man charging whine as you do. And you can shoot with both hands, more on that in a bit. To turn in the demo, it defaulted to snap turning, and as opposed to the Skyrim style of X and O, here you use the top right on the right move to turn right, and the top left button on the left move to turn left. The demo was defaulted, as mentioned, at 90-degree snap turning. Hopefully there will be smooth turning in the full game. You can use one hand to shoot and the other to fly, though it takes a bit of getting used to. You can also just let your momentum carry you through your boosts as you shoot with both hands. I found myself doing this a lot as the targets and enemies up their numbers and difficulty. There's a punching mechanic that was also pretty nifty. If you hold down one of the lower buttons on the Move controllers, the X or the O, and punch forward, you lurch forward and sort of home on into your nearest target, or whatever target you're looking at, dealing a fair amount of damage and movement all at once. So clean. This was on the more polished sides of VR for PSVR games, at least in general. It seemed that you were playing at PAX, you were playing on the Pro. The location they chose had water splashing against rocks, a nice low horizon sun giving warm colors to the lush manor on the eroding cliffs, yikes. But it looked great. When the demo starts, it actually takes you through the suit startup sequence as well, and the UI, so you see the screen starting up and all the little screens flying about you. They look great. By the way, you start this with the suit already on. From what it looked like, there is another demo where you're like jumping out of a plane and you do have the suit fly onto you, but this one, the suit's turning on and you're like above the ocean. It's a little confusing. Thanks to all the fancy UI that the helmet provides. Looking down, you have a body with arms and elbows that move around, all well crafted and pretty sharp the closer you look at them. Pretty beautiful looking game so far, lots of colors. They obviously put a lot of work into immersing you into the world of Iron Man, and through the audio you really get that feeling of every shot having weight and every boost having force. All the Iron Man-y things sound as you would remember them from the movies if you saw them. The charge shots are pulsy, as mentioned before. The wind roars past when you zoom around, the waves splash, all the stuff sounds great. It doesn't seem they got the main cast from the movies with Iron Man characters. You do hear the characters of Pepper Potts, of Friday, and of course Tony through the demo, and they all still do at least sound good and true to the tone that the movies had set for that character. Music also sound pretty good. In the demo I played, you're basically put through a couple flying around tests to get you started, all while teaching you the controls, basic orientation stuff. First you're flying around through these markers, then you're given some targets to shoot. After you shoot some drones, then go through a few more waves of drones, where they get more numerous, and soon stronger tank drone type dudes appears with shields that take more shots, or mini force fields or something. Then you go through this longer time trial type of obstacle course where you're flying through rock holes and shooting targets and punching markers and deals. Then you gotta fight a group of the tank drones in more numbers and end with parking your butt on the landing pad behind the manor. Then that's pretty much it, at least for the demo that I played. The flying around, oh, so fun. I can see myself just going in to zip around. Keeping true to the character, trading off between shooting and flying was a bit challenging, but super fun and really easy to pick up and play, oddly enough. Overall, the movement and combat system that they showed here left me feeling pretty satisfied. I can imagine them adding maybe more weapon capabilities like rockets and targeting, maybe that chest beam thing. I don't know if I mentioned, but the top middle buttons of the controllers didn't seem to have any effect, so maybe that's gonna be like a weapon change thing or something. And with enough enemy diversity and maps and good story, they can have a really cool, solid VR game. And I mean game, not just experience. I can see them going really far with this. Also, I hope they maybe have a sort of horde mode or something, because man, so cool. And would definitely not have been as cool in 2D. Not the biggest fan of the turning. I've played other games that use this turning, but it's okay. Again, this could possibly be changed in the near future, and really isn't the worst thing. I just thought I'd mention it. When I was flying around and the chaos really started going about, I'm so used to the Skyway of turning, and I would go to push the X or the O and nothing would happen, or I'd just punch in a random direction. As I mentioned before, you do turn with head movement a bit, and that helps, but when you're surrounded by enemies, moving from the charge to the trying to remember where the turning buttons is, it's gonna take a bit of getting used to, but not the worst thing. So it seems this will be a more linear narrative type game, similar to that of Blood and Truth. You go through set piece after set piece, engage enemies, fly about, story and all that sounds fine to me. I am personally looking forward to this, and I hope we get at least a 3-hour plus story with exploration, maybe collectibles or something, and a challenge mode with time trials and waves of enemies. Really, honestly, the just fighting many enemies with the Iron Man flying through caves and around rocks and shooting people, I'm down for that. Maybe the ability to unlock new suits. There's a lot of things they can do with this. I'm curious where they go with it themselves. All the core gameplay, at least, that they showed here was badass and very promising. They nailed the Iron Man experience at its essence. That will surely satisfy the most devout Marvel fans. It remains to be seen what the whole game will actually comprise, or what else we may be doing and why, but even if it only consists of these mechanics and maybe some cool set pieces, I think that'd be good. Cool shiz.